Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. It will be the first of its kind where we'll dive more into some ongoing and even some coming new product features and pretty cool abilities in the product today. We've switched around in the seats, as you can probably see. I'm in Jacob's chair. Not that I will be the knowledgeable one today. That will be Martin next to me, who's our Vice President of Product. I'm still Anders, Vice President of Commercial, as you maybe know. This is us you see on the screen here. I'll try and be a little bit of a Toastmaster, maybe a tour guide for today, and take us through what you've prepared for us today, Martin.
Yeah, really look forward to get to present to you some of the things that we've been working on over the last quarter or so. Hello, everyone. As you just said, Anders, I'm a VP of Product here at Eupry, responsible for our product strategy and roadmap. So we're very excited about seeing you all on the call.
Yeah, and from the attendance, we can already see there's at least 3 continents, I think 4 or 5 as we're counting now. We have pharmacy chains, we have CDMOs, we have pharma manufacturers and pharma distributors all present at the moment. So I think we're in for a pretty good session today. As always, please ask your questions on the way. We would love for this to be a little bit of an interactive session. So outside of what you prepared for us, Martin, we've also prepared a few polls on the way, and we would love any questions you might have. We're up for taking a bit of a roast, so if you can catch us off guard, that's also fine. We can always follow up, but please keep the chat open as always. And welcome once again.
Great. Yeah, let's get going.
We just did a quick two slides here on who we are, just to recap. I know most of you will know this, so we'll do it fast, but to those that might be new, it might be relevant to know a little bit about some of the compliance and accreditations you will know from the top. Eupry is a company founded in 2014 with relatively happy customers. We're live in more than 50 countries across 6,000 locations. We do more than 4 billion annual measurements, and we are at least Europe's 3rd largest calibration lab. I think we are zoning in on being the largest by number of annual calibrations, and we are well past the 1,000 customer mark at the moment, I know. So that's quite nice. What we are in Eupry, in short, is go ahead and give me the next slide. Thank you, Martin. Is one vendor and one solution, which should be all you need for thermal compliance. And I think that's actually a pretty well indexed headline for also today's topics. But we bring everything in temperature compliance across mapping, monitoring, and calibration into one digital and GXP compliant solution. So let the pitching be at that, and let's get into some more of the substance for today.
Great.
Martin?
Thank you, Anders. I have a few topics here. I could see there were some questions around whether the session will be recorded. It will, and will be available afterwards as well, Tiffany, in case that you want to. So what we're prepared for the agenda here today are some of the different products we've been working on here in the first quarter of 26. First, we're going to show you a new dashboard that we've added to our portfolio of dashboards. Then we will be diving into another product, continuous mapping and monitoring.
And actually, just so that you know, we'll actually be covering 3 different dashboards, right? But diving a little bit more into the compliance one.
That's right. So we cover the new one, and then we compare it with the existing ones as well. So you get a good understanding of what the differences are.
And what I particularly like about the section you've lined up, Martin, is that we've actually tried and lined this up towards some roles. So it might be easier for you to recognize yourself in what we're presenting today and how it might be useful for you.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, exactly. Then we have a new product for aircrafts. So basically, we call it the flying warehouse, basically, being able to run continuous mapping and monitoring in aircraft. So that would be the next topic. Yeah. And then we sort of build on top of that and look at the cold chain from start to end, where we have another new product we call dual compliance of the cold chain. And then finally, we have a couple of other projects that we are working on right now that will be available quite soon. So we have a little roadmap teaser for you. Those are topics that we will go deep dive into in our next product webinar that will be in June. And of course, we have a little bit of time for Q&A, and we will do a wrap up at the end.
Sure. And then I know I sneaked in those 2 first presentational slides that we already looked at.
Yeah.
And then you sneaked one in, I believe, just after this one, right? Because a lot of what we're showing today is obviously based off of needs in the market, problems we can solve, and maybe even direct requests from you.
Exactly. Yeah. So our ambition here in the product and tech team here at Eupry is really to solve problems for our customers. So we want to be very close to the customers. We love speaking to customers, visiting customers, trying to understand what kind of challenges you have, being compliant, working with compliance. And we run a little customer feedback program that we would love to have more people take part in. So in case that you are interested, please get in touch with me on mkr@eupry.com. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and I love how you're underplaying that a little bit. This is a really good way of getting in via the back door to the roadmap.
That's right.
And put in some motivated requests on what would be nice to see in the future.
Exactly.
So, yeah, my warm.
No, you're right. We co-develop
recommendations and that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Great stuff. Should we move into?
I feel inclined to say one thing, and it's just that I've been quite impressed by some of the turnover time we've had on these things.
Mm-hmm.
From the usual for us 6 to 12 months, which might still be relatively fast in the GXP space, to even down to weeks and months on some of what has come in either via this or via direct customer dialogue. So it's just to say it's a pretty vibrant roadmap, so to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's important for us to listen to our customers and respond and work with them. So,
Okay, so let's get into it.
Yeah, sure. So the first topic, as I just mentioned on the agenda here, is our new dashboard. We call it the compliance status dashboard.
Yeah.
Really, the motivation for creating this dashboard was that we wanted to be able to present our users with one view that will basically tell them of whether they are compliant today, right now, and also in the near coming future as well. So that's basically the background. And let's say the primary job to be done here is really just to serve our users for am I compliant right now and in the upcoming future. And if we look a little bit more at what this dashboard does here, it's basically one view where you're able to see all your active issues in seconds, basically. Sure. You can see, so we have a first version of it out right now. We are working on a few improvements that I will tell you a little bit more about in a moment. Yeah. But we're starting out here with showing 3 types of alarms. So you're able to see environmental alarms, so gray zone, critical alarms on your temperature, humidity, other parameters as well.
Yeah.
Then we have technical alarms, which could be anything from connectivity problems, battery drainage, and so on and so forth. And then the last thing is what we call unacknowledged alarms, where you will be able to verify that all alarms are being taken care of, that people are commenting on them, or maybe adding a cause for why they happen in the first place. On top of that, if you're familiar with the Eupry system already, you can do this across from the highest level, from an account level, or you can drill all the way down to an individual profile and just look at just one for each, or 3 or whatever you're monitoring with our system. And on top of that, you're able to then also take action on each of the different types of alarms with deep links into monitoring as well. So that's kind of what this dashboard really does.
Nice.
Yeah.
If I may now, again, just reminding that the chat is open, so please just direct any questions you might have, and we'll try and pull them forward. But now that this is a webinar that's I was about to say a little bit more, but directly into the product. Maybe I can go a little bit more into that today.
Yes.
Martin, you mentioned gray zone alarms. Would you mind just recapping for us what the difference is between a gray zone alarm and a critical alarm in our system? Because I know that some, but not all, are actually actively using these features here.
Yeah, that's right. So gray zone alarm can be used in a number of different ways, but most often it's used as a warning before a critical alarm.
Sure.
So if you have an environment, for example, let's say like 2 to 8 environment, then you might have a critical alarm when the temperature goes below 2 or above 8.
Yeah.
But you might want to have a buffer like within your allowed temperature band, where you add a warning. It could be from 7 to 8 degrees, for example, and between 2 and 3 degrees, where you can then set a duration as well. So the warning will trigger basically if the temperature is between 7 and 8 for X number of minutes, let's say 5 minutes. And that will basically give you an indication of that maybe something is trending towards a critical alarm. So it's a way of warning you before things might go off in terms of actually receiving a critical alarm.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this, I guess, could both complement actual direct requirements in SOPs.
Yeah.
But it's just as much a way to design a way of working in the specific sites, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It can be used in a number of different ways.
Yeah.
It's flexible.
And then if we were to say like how to look at the compliance status dashboard, is it fair to say it's kind of like one layer above what most of the participants today will be used to looking at in the monitoring part of the platform today?
I would say so.
Like an executive overview, kind of.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it gives you, because you have this built-in filtering on from account levels. You can look across all your accounts, all your sites, basically. If you are overseeing multiple warehouse sites, for example, you're able to basically get a full overview of that. So we've seen some customers use this as part of a global rollout, basically, where they're fairly new to environmental compliance done in the Eupry way. And a way of rolling out the system, you would have one system owner who would basically be using this dashboard to figure out, basically how is the adoption going in the different on the different sites around the world, and basically be able to help and train staff if there are still problems. The most, let's say, indicative, sign of that would be if you have unacknowledged alarms, where you have alarms triggering, but no one is taking care of them. So that's a typical sort of operational.
That's what you want to know, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we've seen it used on that level, but we've also seen it used on a much more, let's say, day-to-day level, where you basically overseeing maybe just one site or one warehouse, and you're basically mostly living in the environmental alarms page, basically, where you're just monitoring if anything is going off there.
Yeah, because if I talk into actual cases, and I know some of you listening now will be able to recognize yourself in this, so say multi-site pharmacies. Yeah, there's usually one that will be responsible for, let's say, the solution but moreover that you are actually compliant. Yeah. And you will have some people that are very active on the floor, actually meeting the customers, handing out the medicine, etc. Yes. That might pay a little less attention to this. Exactly. And could benefit from a phone call or whatever operations you decide to set up. Yeah. Whereas for others, it's just as much as in a single site warehouse. Yeah. However pro it might be. Yeah. We have customers that haven't had a single alarm in I believe 12 years in their sites, but they have so many measuring points and such a relatively big site that they want to know that everything is still in line. So just seeing a dashboard that might be for evergreen is actually still a nice thing, right? Exactly. Yeah. And then alluding a little bit to roles, and I know that will come in 2 slides from now, but who would you say will benefit the most in terms of like people, roles, titles here?
Yeah, I think it would usually be what we've seen so far with the customers we engage with. I would say it's mostly on a lead level or an owner level. I mean, there's so many titles, but it could be like some kind of QA lead, or it could be a compliance owner or something like that, who would basically be looking at it on a little like site-by-site level. So a little
site manager, facility manager.
Exactly. Something
maybe
like
head
that.
of operations.
It could be, yes.
Yeah.
It could be, yeah. So it's still a very, let's say, day-to-day tactical operational dashboard. Yeah. But because it has the leveling built in, it's quite handy to have on that level, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Let's maybe go to the next one.
Yeah. So I have prepared a little demo for the audience here. Bear with me.
There's nothing like a good live demo that is walking the line where I'm seeing the things.
Actually, this is actually a video. We will do a live demo later. I promise you. But let me sort of try and talk the audience here through what you see here. So before I start the video, actually I can run it. I think it fits pretty well. So this is the overview. You got your filters on top where you can filter on your accounts. You got your locations next to that, and then you would have your profile. So you can basically be on the highest level.
Easy to translate that to your own use case here.
Exactly, yeah. Then you got the first tile on top here, the first card here. You would have your total issues. Yeah. And then here you have your environmental alarms. Sure. In this case, we see a gray zone high alarm, and then
temperature, humidity, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, you're right. Yes. And then here in a moment, I will show you, you can basically filter on the types of alarms you have and the type of sensors you have.
Sure.
And then here, if you click on the view, you would basically go straight into the alarm details page in our monitoring software,
Sweet.
where you'll be able to read more details around what's happening here. Yeah, and you can add a comment here if you want to add a course. Yeah, so that's kind of the environmental alarms.
Got it. And I guess you'll be going back in the recording. It was as if you could look into the future.
Yeah.
The technical alarms. Yeah.
Yes. So here we have the technical alarms. Here is just one example here of a no external sensor, but we're also able to show like low battery, no connection, absent upload, for example. So that will give you the technical alarm overview. And then you have the acknowledged alarms, which is basically showing you alarms that are like there is no comment on it or no initial course chosen for the alarm. So what you can do here, again, you can go into the same page as we were showing you before in monitoring. And in this case, I would navigate down in a second and show you here. So in this case, I might know that this is actually a planned event and it's the cleaning. So I would just add the initial course and write cleaning here. And then it would basically, I would add it to the activity log, and then it would basically be removed from the unacknowledged alarms. So that's kind of how operational it is. It's really like you can basically, this can be your task list, right? Like that you were sitting and looking through here.
Totally.
So I hope that's clear to everyone.
Let me ask a question into that. How do we group environmental, technical, and unacknowledged? Is it the same across all customers, or can you kind of categorize yourself, and will it learn with time, etc.?
Right now, it's just showing these three categories, but we have a number of different plans for making it a little bit smarter. But for the time being, it's literally just you have those 3 pages, and it will do a count on those 3.
Okay.
But in terms of the unacknowledged alarms, those will be environmental alarms. So those two are related, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
While we did this, we got a question from Dr. Sandra Schneidereit from Germany. As far as I understood, the alarm duration is calculated in the report from the start of exceeding the gray zone limit. Is it not possible to see the duration of the real alarm, i.e. exceeding the critical alarm limit? Is there a possibility to change this?
Let me just calculate in the report from the start of exceeding the gray zone. It is not possible to see the duration of the real alarm. You should be able to see the start and the end time of the alarm, if I understand the question correctly. So if you have a critical alarm, you would basically be seeing the start time when it basically went out of the accepted area, and then you would get an end time of the alarm as well, unless it's ongoing, of course.
And for gray zone, is that the same? I know we can see and plot in the charts, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's the same. It's the same. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The difference is on a gray zone, you have the duration to it. So you will first be notified, not when you cross into if you take the example from before, from 7 to 8, you don't get a notification or an alarm the moment you cross the 7 degree boundary. You get it after X minutes. So basically after 5 minutes, if that's what you've set.
And then maybe putting you on a point here, but what is the lowest amount of time you can set for critical gray if you actually want to, a gray zone alarm if you actually want to trigger it right away?
You can only set it to 1 minute.
Okay, but that is pretty fast, right?
Yeah.
So that's a way of triggering gray zone alarms relatively fast, 1 minute intervals.
Yeah. So, okay, I will switch back to the presentation. I hope we answered your question, Sandra.
Otherwise, I know you have my email, so you're more than welcome to just mail me and we'll clarify it.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about earlier, we would like to kind of show how this dashboard fits into the 2 other types of dashboards that we already have.
Exactly.
So some of you will be familiar with these dashboards. So Okay. Sorry about that. Let's follow up with you afterwards then if we didn't quite cover it. So we basically have three types of dashboard. We have an alarm dashboard, then we have a compliance status dashboard that we've just been talking about, and then we have what we call the performance dashboard. And as you just mentioned, Anders, earlier, we sort of try to put in like what's the typical type of user of these dashboards. Of course, this is quite like roles are different every organization,
of
but
course.
Initially the alarm dashboard is really just a view into your environmental alarms. So it's just listing your environmental alarms that you can take action on. When we then look at the compliance status dashboard, we have the broader scope with a number of different alarm types, as we've just talked about and shown you. And there we are actually adding a number of new things. So when I said in the beginning that this dashboard is both showing you whether you are compliant now, but we also want to look more into the future to see maybe you are at risk of not being compliant in the upcoming sort of weeks or so. So what we're adding here is that you are able to see alarm delivery failures. That could be if no one is actually receiving alarm notifications on a profile or a location. Two, it could be that emails or SMS are not delivered. Then you would be informed as well. So you can always ensure that someone is actually receiving alarm notifications. And the two others are really about calibration compliance status. So if you have an upcoming, what we call a switch, so basically perhaps once a year, you need to recalibrate your sensors. You would basically be able to see that in the dashboard as well, that there will be a switch happening in the next month or so. And you would need to basically change the sensors on your data loggers.
Yeah, so this doesn't mean a change on our end of the service. That's still the same, with calibration being a baked-in part of the service you have with Eupry. And then once you're 11 months into any calibration interval of, say, 12 months, we'll send you the pre-calibrated probes. This is quite simply offering transparency into where you are in those intervals, right?
That's right. That's right. And then at the end, we have also you will be able to upload different types of compliance documents and set an expiration date on these as well.
I love it.
So you can keep track of that as well in the dashboard here as well.
And then if I may put a few words, because we put lead and owner in here, but in terms of who it is we meet that will benefit the most from this, I would maybe call it the subject matter expert, but the one really owning thermal compliance as a domain, this is obviously the one to look for. Where if I may switch to the other one, when we then talk about what's the level above in an organization that they will usually be reporting up to 1 or 2 levels up, it's more on a business level. They care a little less about data loggers, calibration intervals, critical alarms or gray zone alarms. It's just that things are working and how it impacts the business.
Exactly.
So for that, you have created performance analysis across locations. I really love the part about having an occurrence pattern analysis of alarms. So that you get that overview. Is it a special time of day? Is it a special time of alarm? Generally, what we would see is something like a forgotten closed door. And typically in the same time of locations like rooms or whatever, because it's the same people that have the same behavior. So it might be a little bit more human in some instances that we need to change some behavior. And then, Martin, predictive stability scoring is what?
That's basically a way of looking at temperature stability, where we have some metrics for that will basically tell you whether you have a change, a trend in how stable your temperature is. And potentially if it's trending in up or down and towards maybe like the outer boundaries of what is accepted, you might need to react on that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This is more the performance dashboard is much more about driving systemic change. It's less about reacting. It's more about making informed decisions on how can we work better with compliance overall across multiple sites. You can benchmark sites against a particular good case, for example, and so on and so forth.
Maybe will you punch the first poll live? Because we have a poll that's called "What dashboard would work best for you?" And I would just love a little bit more interaction here. If we can maybe invite you for that. I can see we have a pretty good attendance rate, so I hope it's valuable for you following along today.
Great. Yes, I just launched it, I believe. I hope you.
I think that was the slide part. I think you need to launch it over from.
I think I have put it live. I hope.
Okay,
I
it's
hope
live.
people can see it.
We have a brilliant technician behind the camera called Nils, and he's got a double thumb up. So I hope something is working out here.
Yeah.
You can see the results coming in.
Yeah. So we have one result so far.
And maybe while we just allow you guys a little bit of time to type in for the poll, these are, when I say these, the dashboards are moving targets in the sense that this is what we felt like was, let's bring this to the market first.
Yeah.
And then open up for the feedback that you were talking about.
Yeah.
So moving target in the sense they will keep developing and being better and better.
Yeah.
Obviously, any requests that you would like to have included in these dashboards, we're all ears.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
particularly eager about the performance dashboard because I would just love to see on behalf of Eupry that we can create even more value into the greater parts of your organizations than just, so to say, in our own domain of temperature compliance.
Yeah.
And we know by doing that, you need to talk the language of the organization. That's business, right? So,
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with you. We're very interested in feedback on these dashboards. I can see we have some. What do we have now? We have eight responses. A couple of people are mostly interested in the alarm dashboard. 4 people compliance status, so the new dashboard. 1 performance dashboard, and 2 have answered that they are all of the above are relevant. So that's nice. Interesting.
Ooh, and 0 on none of the above.
Yeah,
Hopefully that
nice.
means we didn't completely waste the time so far. That's brilliant. Okay, thanks guys. Martin, should we go into the next section?
Yeah, let's do that.
Get some air under the wings, I think.
I think so, yes.
If I'm not mistaken completely.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, so maybe a short intro before we dive into the slides here. So Eupry has over the years very much been about making sure that pharma product, medicine, etc., is staying under the right kind of under the right kind of conditions.
Sure. Yeah.
Focusing on temperature and humidity, but we've mostly looked at like warehouses overall, at least warehouses, freezers, fridges, and so on and so forth. But one of the things that we have looked into when we talk to customers, especially pharma distributors, is some of the challenges around aircrafts.
Yes.
So obviously, pharma products move through a cold chain. They are just being distributed around the world. And especially aircrafts have posed quite a challenge when it comes to ensuring that the products are kept under the right conditions during the flight, for example.
And it's an incredibly vibrant space at the moment, right? Between actually air and sea.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting to see. And in all of the dialogues that's happening on the conference floors, etc., this is one of the really buzzing topics I know for sure from firsthand. But let's talk into some of the dynamics on air now, which is very interesting how
exactly.
There's a lot of big players moving in this right now.
Yes. So when it comes to aircrafts are typically not mapped and monitored in the same way as a warehouse. So there's usually not data loggers installed in the actual aircraft today. So instead, the way you would be keeping track of what sort of conditions the products are being transported with would be a combination of on product loggers. They can vary a lot in reliability and also in price. They come with a lot of different capabilities as well.
Yeah.
And then of course you would also use ULDs, like these unit loading devices that can be either active or passive, and are both like take a lot of space, which you could use for transporting more products. They're heavy, which also takes on your fuel costs and so on. So there is a number of different things happening there.
Just do the mental experiment of not needing the ULDs, because you would have your on-product loggers. Now I'm diving a little bit into solution on a problem slide, but just to put a little bit of imagination into it here. But imagine removing the ULDs from the equation, what that would free up in terms of space and weight on something that's, of course, confined on space and weight, the aircraft.
Yes.
That's essentially what we're looking at. So keeping the on-product loggers, but treating the plane as a warehouse.
Yeah, exactly.
That has been
Exactly.
equipped with continuous mapping and monitoring, right?
That's right. That's right. So some of the challenges that comes with this is that it can be fairly cumbersome to get data access to the data if it's like USB loggers, for example.
Yes.
If you have excursions during your during the flight, it might be hard to understand what happened. So you can sort of gauge or assess the damage that might have been happening.
Yeah, there's multiple paths here as pitfalls, because it's retrieving whatever logger it is.
Yeah.
And then it's transferring or syncing data.
Yeah.
It's finding the qualified personnel.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't need that big qualifications to locate it.
Yeah.
But you oftentimes do to actually import it and then to assess it.
Yeah.
From then on, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And just to conclude on the slide here, and what we're talking about here is this will really depend on what kind of products you have and to what extent they must be inactive ULDs, for example. But in a lot of cases, what we see when we talk to pharma distributors, this is kind of a something that comes with high cost, also quite some risk, and it's very difficult to learn to improve because it's fragmented data. And sometimes the quality of the data is also not very,
and then
very
a
high.
teaser for a slide. You're actually going to bring that up on the dual compliance, I know, Martin, but getting way more specific and visual on what it looks like on inscription. But
That's right.
It's it, right? But
exactly. If we so basically what we have created here, and we will sort of contextualize this a little bit more when we move into the next session on the dual compliance, but we actually believe in the idea of treating your aircraft more like a qualified warehouse. And we have now we are offering a type of data logger that is FAA approved, so it can be installed permanently. Well, they run on battery, so they need to be changed once in a while. But the important thing is it's not something you put in for one flight. They sit there flight after flight. These data loggers.
And they follow the flight, installed in the flight, not the ULD, not the package.
That's right. That's right. And that enables you to be able to map the environment when the aircraft is on the ground, but also when it's in the air. So you get quite a good understanding of what happens to the thermal environment in those different types of scenarios.
Yes.
And you are able to basically have a compliance report available for you just in minutes after landing. Basically, these data loggers will connect to a mobile network, and will basically just upload data to the cloud, and basically you're able to see this instantly.
But stating the obvious, automatically, right?
Automatically, yeah.
So coming back to the couple of pitfalls I mentioned before, no more looking for the data loggers, no more syncing, no more lost data loggers.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. So if aircraft transportation in this way is part of your global chain, this helps you get better data, get faster data that can help you also make decisions on whether you would release a product or not, for example, which is of course
what we want to get at, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And on top of that, maybe to the last point here on the slide as well, this is what the fact that you can map and you monitor and you collect data over time, flight by flight, season by season, because that's an important part of it as well. What you will basically be able to manage your compliance better. You will be able to make informed decisions on what is actually required when it comes to your ULDs, if you have them.
Sure.
Or what is also required if you have on product logging as well. What is actually required in the aircraft as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Great.
Let's go ahead. We're stepping into dual compliance now, right? As far as I remember.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Dual compliance of the global cold chain, as we call it here. Should we talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe I closed that one down a little bit too fast, but that was just since maybe now we actually have a question. How does that help compliance if you don't have data for when your shipment on the aircraft? From Thomas, how does that help compliance? Maybe for when the shipment was.
Does help compliance if you don't know when the shipment is on the aircraft? I think we might actually answer this question with the dual compliance. I hope, Thomas, Perhaps it sounds like it. I hope we're able to answer your questions. Otherwise, please let us know.
Sorry for the chat format here on the platform. I can see that when you type enter, you can't go back and edit and stuff. So thanks for hanging in there, Thomas. Let's see if we actually answered with this one. I just wanted to maybe do a little bit of a call to action on the previous one, that if anything in the continuous mapping and monitoring for aircraft caught your attention, just feel free to reach out. And we'd be happy to go a little bit more into detail. This is not a theoretical exercise; it's live and it's happening.
Yes,
now.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
It has been rolled out and it's live.
That's right. And we will do a live demo in a moment, which is always terrifying, but also fun.
We love it.
So yeah.
Okay, and we'll try and come back to your question. Thank you, Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, let's get into it, Martin.
Yeah. So again, when we talk about what Eupry has been doing, as you just saw with the aircraft, we started not only looking at the stationary warehouses, freezers, and fridges. We start looking at aircrafts, and again, when we have been engaging with pharma distributors, what we are seeing is that if you look at the entire cold chain from, let's say, a warehouse near a production site, there is a first mile, maybe on a truck. Then there might be some airport storage, some unloading on an aircraft, and so on and so forth, all the way to, let's say, the warehouse before the product is coming out on a hospital and a pharmacy and so on. There's an entire cold chain that poses a risk, of course. We've already talked a little bit about the aircraft. We talked about on product logging. But basically what we see here when it comes to the cold chain, there is a number of different challenges that we are trying to tackle here with a new solution here that we are quite excited about showing you. So one of them is that you would usually have on a shipment tracking devices on the products.
That's industry standard today, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Smart labels, slap-on labels, they have many names.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. So like one thing is that you have the journey segments like the truck, but you also have on tarmac time, for example, which especially in warm climates can be a real challenge. So there's a lot of...
That's one of the most feared points when we talk aircraft as part of the cold chain, right? That's the on tarmac part.
Exactly, exactly. So you need to have something that follows the product that basically generates some data there that you can use to make a decision on whether you can release the product or not. And these really vary, in how sophisticated they are. They cost maybe between $20 to $200, depending on whether they are just basically very basic devices, or they can do all sorts of fancy things of tampering and things like that. They can detect different things. The thing is that these costs will scale linearly with volume, right? Like you add more products, so you send more products, you need more devices. So it's a very linear cost that you have with the amount of products that you are shipping around. On top of that, you would, in the different segments, as I was mentioning before, it could be the first and the last mile truck. It would be warehouses. It would be some storage in the airports. It would be the aircraft or the ship, and so on and so forth. In some of those areas, you might have some kind of environmental compliance system set up, like Eupry for monitoring. But at the end of the day, you end up with some kind of patchwork of data across the cold chain, where you would have some data from the on-product tracking devices, and then you will have some data, from the truck perhaps, and maybe not from the truck, but from the warehouse, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of both difficult to access. Again, it's a little bit of the same problem we saw with the aircraft before, as we talked about the current solutions. And then it's sort of basically sort of spread out across different types of suppliers as well, who would be providing different solutions for this.
Yeah. So behind all of this, a lot of it is that it's a data play, that you have extremely disaggregated data, right?
That's right.
From many different sources.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hard, close to impossible for the individual player to stitch together.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So with that in mind, there's again a problem if something goes wrong. It's really hard to determine what is the cause and how can we avoid this from happening in the future. But maybe even more importantly, like when the product arrives at its destination, the shipment arrives, how do you stitch data? Like basically, how do you access enough data to kind of with like release the product with confidence.
Yes.
So there is both a time component in that. That's of course valuable, and then just general like high cost and low convenience, I guess, in general in a lot of the solutions that are out there today.
Yeah.
So what we have looked at here is actually a simple idea, but I believe a very powerful platform. So if you take a journey here with a number of segments, I just wrote this up like first mile in a truck, storage, in this case in Boston. Then we might have air or sea freight. So it could be on an aircraft or on a ship. And then you would have some, again, storage, last mile. Of course, this is simplified, but I hope
simplified cold chain.
Yeah.
But many of you will have done this on your whiteboards with us, with yourself, or somebody else. That's the classic one we start to outline and dream about, a unified data foundation, right?
Exactly. So the first thing we would add here is like some on-product monitoring that you would have on some kind of a smart label, for example, that you would put on the product.
Yeah.
That will give you some data across this. And again, it varies a lot in how good this data is, depending on what kind of labels you're using.
This part actually answers your question, Thomas. That label will tell you when your product is on the aircraft.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then it's just down to how real time do you want it, and do you want it by push?
Yeah.
Or do you just want to be able to go and access the data for any relevant reason outside of just assessing your stability budgets or whatever it might be?
Exactly. Yeah. And the next thing we add is and that's where, let's say, the dual component comes in, is the second graph here. And of course, this means that you basically, in your truck, in your storage, on your aircraft, in your storage again, and on your truck again, you are able to install something like a system from us, like a Eupry monitoring system, that will basically give you that second level of insurance. You would be able to track both temperature or humidity humidity across each of the different segments and compare it with what you get from the on-product labels as well. And of course, the systems you would have in a warehouse, for example, would be fully qualified, like it would be a mapped environment. So you have, let's say, a higher level of accuracy and confidence in what you measure on that graph while the product is staying within those areas. So both, let's say, lines here are very important, but they play together, and they add something in themselves as well.
Yeah, so it's the best of two worlds, essentially. You have the on-parcel, on-pallet, smart label, snap-on label that will follow it all the way through. And then you correlate that one-to-one with all of the stationary monitoring systems. Yeah. Be that Eupry, where you can pull your data out on an open API, or any other system that we would aggregate into ours.
That's right.
So basically what you're hearing us saying here, this is also an ongoing effort now in becoming an orchestration standard, not only based off our own Wi-Fi data loggers, but actually basically any system out there, stitching together what you've lined up as the purple line, Martin. Yeah. And then the easy part, once we have the data, is actually correlating it to the on-parcel, on-pallet data. Yes. So that if and when you do have excursions of whatever kind, we can really, I was about to say triangulate it. We can't, because we're talking two factors, but we can really narrow it down quite a lot more than we're able to today. And then you might want to go on the smart label in case you, like you talked about it, did it get a bump or bruise on the way? Your room data or your warehouse data won't tell you that. But then again, this really drastically heightens the quality across your cold chain. Exactly. And if there's one thing that we know from data, that's what all reports, the ones we're doing and the ones you will find from the large consultancy businesses know, that what GDP is selling to GMP, number one criteria across top 5 measuring points is quality. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, exactly. I want to show you the next parts, because what we that's actually the really good part. So what we add here is of course you're absolutely right, Anders. This is a kind of a platform approach, meaning that we are able to integrate different types of loggers into the platform, and on top of that, we are able to define a temperature stability budget. And in this case, we've just, for simplicity's sake, set it to 2 to 8, and basically we wouldn't allow. The budget is basically 60 minutes outside that. Of course, it could be way more sophisticated, that you have between 8 and 10 and
2 and 0 and so on, where you set a certain duration and so on and so forth. And the idea here is that you would be able to basically look at your temperature stability budget across the on-product data as well as the environmental data.
Yes.
And I'm going to give you a live demo in a second, but in essence, it would look like something like this, right? Where you can see, oh, we have one of them is out for 5 minutes or 35 minutes during a segment on the aircraft or during storage. And then what we would be able to do here at the end is to basically make a release recommendation based on the data we have here.
Yeah.
So that's the core idea here. That's the core idea.
Let's do live demo
Yeah.
because we love live demos.
Yes.
Time is running.
Yeah.
Make sure to keep your questions coming. Normally they come at the very end, and then there's naturally a limit to how many we can pull in.
Yes.
That was a fast switch, Martin, not calibration, but screen to screen here.
Yeah.
So take us into it.
Yes. So basically what you see here are a set of shipments between a set of different locations. So what I'm going to do now is I will do a new shipment analysis just to show you what that looks like. So right now, I would basically show that we will create a shipment based on smart labels. In this case, I was thinking that we would get some decent data if we look at the Munich, Reykjavik, journey here. So let's take the three on product loggers here, and group them together. So what you get here is basically first an overview of the different packages. They basically represented by a sensor each, a smart label with a sensor each. And then we have the different phases here. And now the system at the moment doesn't have a track and trace where it would detect this automatically. That would be a next phase. So you don't need to basically set your segments yourself. That would just happen automatically based on this, basically knowing the location of the product.
Yeah.
So that's
kind of some smart people working on that.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have your stability budget that you would set here, where you can either have soft or hard limits. Hard limits means no tolerance, no duration.
Of course.
You're outside.
Yeah.
Soft if you set a duration.
Oh, font too small. Can we zoom in, Martin?
Yes, I can try.
Thanks for letting us know.
Thank you. I hope.
Let's push the live demo.
Yeah.
Stretch the limit.
Yeah, I hope that helped. Can
we give it one notch more, maybe?
I can, but I don't know if it go. Okay.
We'll try that.
Yeah.
I hope that's better. McFlint. Lovely
name. Cool. And what we get here then is the initial graph, as you saw it also on the slide before, with the blue representing the on product smart label data, and then the that is a purple kind of pink will basically be showing a graph in the warehouse, in the aircraft, and in the warehouse again. So in this particular case, we don't have any data, like environmental data in the first mile and in the last mile and in the offloading and unloading as well. So it's not a full dual compliance, but it's also showing you can actually get value out of less than full, like end-to-end.
And let me just circle back to what you said. We talked about on the first problem slide with aircrafts.
Yes.
The notion of the aircraft itself not being mapped, but it could be mapped if we saw it as a warehouse.
Yeah.
The potential to remove a ULD.
Yeah.
What is the risk to a potential GMP customer to a GDP provider?
Yeah.
Drastically limited.
Yeah.
By being able to correlate.
Yeah.
Now our on parcel.
Yes.
On packet.
Yeah.
Data with the environmental data.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. In one platform, right? Where you would now see here on top, I just ran the analysis based on the budget and the data we got. So you have the environmental compliance, you are fully compliant here. It would basically, if it says compliant right now, it would mean that you have been outside just once, even if you're within budget.
Yeah.
And then at risk would mean that there is like basically something you need to look into. On the package compliance side here, we say, hey, we're actually at risk. So in a few cases. So what you will then be able to go down and see here is you will get your environmental stability, and you can see that each of the segments are fully compliant. You get your certificates, right? So this is the power of this as well. You got your map validation reports that you could
What's
export.
the delay on this data, Martin?
So we can generate these reports about 10 minutes. Yeah, like the main let's say, constraint we have is the aircraft because it needs to basically land. So we need to connect to network. So you can.
And when I ask you, you're thinking, is it 10 or 15 minutes?
But
for those listening, it's more like that could take half a day. Or weeks to have something combined like this, right?
Yeah, right. But this is
that's the fidelity we're looking at.
That's right. That's right. So on the packages part here, you would then be able to go in and see, okay, how much of the budget has been used, and then you will get a count over here, which of course will take also even though it's green, it will take that into account as well, and so on and so forth. So you get a full overview of
I just know that there's people right now thinking or knowing by gut feel and in the data where they can, for example, replace a ULD with a thermo blanket. And then they will run up the math and saying that less weight, that less space it will take up, I can put so many more parcels in. And that's just improving my unit economics massively.
Yes.
We know from the business cases we've been part of creating on this, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is about learning over time. You will gradually learn about what routes are posing a risk often and which routes are not. Seasonal changes as well. And so on and so forth. So it's an analysis tool and a release tool as well. Okay. That was live demo. It worked.
It worked with a little bit of Zoom. So thank again.
Thanks for pointing that out
for that highlight.
Yes.
Okay, Martin, we have 5 minutes plus the loose stuff left. Maybe there's room for a question or two in there. I would love for you to take us into. You have 2, but essentially 3 heads up from the product roadmap. We're really trying to open up and be a little bit more transparent on the future here. Right?
Should we just jump straight in and
I
super fast?
No, not super fast, but we have time to do it. It was more like because I think we're both excited by compliance, and I just know that this is a topic that resonates so well. It has many different names, to be fair. There's not one consolidated name for the industry, but dual compliance is how we chose to speak of it today. But I'm sure it resonates with you out there. We also have Ray, thanking for an interesting and informative session. So thank you so much. Nice. We really try to pack in some value. On that note, let's take a little bit of a peek into the future.
Yes.
And also re-invite you guys to share any interest you might have in taking the back door into our roadmap and sharing some information.
Okay. So we've talked a few times about what Eupry has been about up to until now. One of the things we've mentioned a few times, temperature and humidity. But when we talk to customers, we actually get asked sometimes if we could expand into more areas, basically measure other things than temperature and humidity. And some of the things that have come up a lot are being able to use a Eupry system for mapping and monitoring in incubators, it could be clean rooms as well. So
that's a classic.
So we have been working really hard over the last months on basically supporting CO2 and differential pressure, adding it to the software platform, as well as basically adding it end to end when it comes to, of course, some very capable digital sensors. We need to be able to offer good calibrations for this as well. Of course, that fits the needs of our customers. So essentially, like, we're going to do a deep dive on this next time. But what I just wanted to say here is that we are actually pretty much ready to offer both CO2 mapping and monitoring and differential pressure for a clean room, for example, for monitoring. In the same way as the people here who are already familiar with the Eupry model, it's like fast installation, right? In minutes, switch and go calibrations with no downtime. You got the calibration certificates, like we just showed you in the dual compliance. You set alarms, get notified, and you are pretty much already ready in one click, right? So it's the same model, but now expanding with more.
If I can just dumb it down even further, same data logger. Same complete functions of the system. There's just more toys you can plug into it for all of the parameters that you would like to mesh out there, basically.
That's right.
So you just sort of say opening up and being an aggregator for data across brands, platforms, and hardware. And now you're also hearing us saying opening up to more in our own portfolio. There's literally a a fire going on down in the hardware department these days, sending our own portfolio as well. It's very,
Yes.
that sounds negative, but I mean fire in the good way. Yeah. Okay. There's one more thing in there, right?
That's right. We're also working on a data log with a screen. So that's another thing we often hear from our customers, that they would like to have some what we call local alarming, basically. So being able to have a visual alarm where you can basically see on a display that that maybe your temperature is too high, too low. Audible alarms as well could be. So this is something that would be that we have been working really hard on creating some very nice prototypes that we are testing. We have one sitting down in our fridge at the moment, on the outside on the fridge that we're testing out here.
Yeah.
This would also include like an island made. So basically, these are for QC labs like hospitals, storage rooms, and so on and so forth. For those of you who know our existing data logger, this is quite a significant change. You get quite a big display where we're able to show you a number of different sets of data. We would be able.
I'm tempted to say for us it's a big change.
Yeah,
I guess for you it's kind of like initial development, just extending portfolio. And I know we have both QC labs, hospitals present on the call right now, so it's just about time.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice
it is. I totally agree. Yes.
Yeah.
So other things like we're able now to measure down to every 1 second, upload pretty much real time via Wi-Fi, and then it will get power as well, which is also really nice. And one of the things we hear a lot is like if there are some connectivity issues, it can sometimes be hard to troubleshoot with when you have no display. Here we have an opportunity to use the display to help basically the user of the device to understand.
And just as much for SOPs that often it's stated in these specific environments that they need to be able to do an immediate reading.
Yes, exactly.
Not most of the times it's actually not needed.
Yeah.
It's just the habits of the SOPs.
Yeah.
But
that's right.
Yeah. We're fast running out of time.
Yes,
and
we are.
We had a question on when is the next webinar on CO2 and differential pressure. I just shared a link at eupry.com/webinars. That's all of the webinars. McFlynn Capura, if you're a little bit impatient because we don't have a specific webinar covering that yet, just reach out to us. I shared my email, and we're always open on the chat on the website.
Yeah.
I want to circle back to a question from Dennis Sulbeck before we wrap up.
Okay.
That was back to the alarm settings. So in the first part of the webinar, will we be looking into alarms profile settings? So, for example, the user groups do not receive technical alarms.
We don't have that planned right now. It's a good point. We're working on some alarm grouping that will come out in mid-April, actually. But that's a little bit of a different concept. But I guess, Dennis, what I can tell you is that there's something we're looking into. So what will come out in mid-April is where you can basically group a set of data loggers and have a different alarm configuration on those than you have on others. So you might have a warning like a gray zone and a crit alarm on some data loggers, but no gray zone on others. So it's sort of, let's say we're taking a sort of, some steps towards something along like the lines of what you're asking for. But I don't have sort of concrete timeline on that particular option right now.
I would love, Martin, can you maybe end us on the initial slide with your email? Because any like specific request or wishes that you could have, something like this, Dennis, is amazing. It makes us much easier to build it into the future stuff. So I really appreciate you shared this. Oh, you had a wrap up, even I forgot. Sorry.
I did have a wrap up, and it was just to like that we are sort of running
and your
out of
email,
time.
nkr@eupry.com.
That's right. Yeah. So just added it down here. Please shoot an email to me. Like I would be very happy to have some follow-up sessions, or just if you want to send us some feedback on this session. I think that would be amazing as well. So we always interested in doing better here. So.
Yeah, just a line or word in the comment now would be nice. I can see from the stickiness on the attendees that we had almost, I think, less than 1% drop off. So I guess that's a healthy sign. But I hope we provide some value for you guys. Thank you for joining in on this first session on diving really into the customer side of being in Eupry. we hope that what we brought today on the compliance alarms dashboard, on continuous mapping and monitoring for aircraft and dual compliance, and a little peek into the future was valuable to you guys. I would do our absolute best to pack some value in to the next one. And thanks for spending your time and your afternoon with us today.